Most bass players can play the notes. Far fewer can make those notes mean something. And according to Geddy Lee, that difference is everything. So today we're putting Alejandra Villarreal to the test. Not a popularity test, not a technique test, a Geddy Lee test. And the result might surprise you. Geddy Lee has talked for years about what separates great bass players from good ones. It's not just speed, it's not just complexity, it's clarity, musical intention, and identity. So for this video, we're breaking his philosophy into 3 core elements: articulation, musical role, identity. Let's hear it from Geddy himself.
And at the same time, there were all these bass players doing all this slap and pop and stuff, which didn't really feel like my kind of thing either. In an effort to bring more rhythm into my playing, I just started messing about with my approach to writing a bass part. When Neil and I would get together to discuss what kind of rhythm section belonged in a particular song, we, at that period, made a conscious effort to make it a little more funkier, a little more rhythmic. And so that enabled me to then sit down and try to find new ways of approaching the rhythm.
The idea of making every note count is where the test really begins. When Alejandra plays, the first thing you notice isn't her speed, it's clarity. Even in fast passages, her notes don't blur together. They separate. And that's a lot harder than it sounds. A lot of players can play fast, but when they do, their articulation collapses. With Alejandra, you're hearing a clean attack, controlled sustain, intentional spacing between notes. That's not just technique, that's discipline. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Most players live in the background, but Geddy Lee didn't. He pushed the bass forward, melodically, rhythmically, structurally. So where does Alejandra fall? In many of her performances, she does something subtle but important. She moves between roles, locking in with the drums, then stepping forward with the melodic phrasing, then pulling back again. That kind of awareness is very rare. It means she's not just playing bass, she's thinking like an arranger. Now, let's listen in to Geddy Lee speaking again.
Even Paul McCartney, I was a huge fan of his bass lines. And some of the Beatle bass lines are really inventive, really unusual, and quite, in their own way, for considering it's pop, quite busy. And they really change the song with what they're doing.
This leads to the most important part of this test. This is the hardest thing to measure. Because identity isn't about what you play, it's about whether we, as listeners, recognize you when you play. With Alejandra, there's a consistency in her attack, her phrasing, and her tonal balance. Even across different styles, those elements remain intact. That's the beginning of real musical identity. Not imitation, not replication, but recognition. This is where things get even deeper than I expected. In the members only video, we stripped everything away and listened to Alejandra playing completely isolated. No band, no mix, just her raw bass. And one of the members pointed out something I didn't even mention, which is that in the Donna Lee clip of her playing, her teacher is handling a chord part while Alejandra is playing the lead, and she's only around 10 or 11 years old. This is the kind of detail that actually changes how you hear her phrasing. It's subtle, but it matters. That's the difference between what we can do here in a public video and what we get into in the members video. So if you want to hear the isolated clips and go deeper into articulation and phrasing and join the conversation there, check us out in the members section. So, does Alejandra Villarreal pass the Geddy Lee bass test? Well, I think so. And I think that passing the test isn't even the point. What matters is that she's already demonstrating the foundations that Geddy Lee built his entire style on, including clarity, musical awareness, and personal identity. And that puts her on a very short list of modern players worth watching closely. But even more importantly is the fact that Alejandra is in a very unique position as a musician. Being in the warning gives her a place to self-actualize and explore her capacities that most people never have. And at such a young age, for her to have developed so much mastery is an amazing accomplishment in itself, but we haven't yet seen what she is fully capable of doing. So let me know what you think of my take on. Welcome, members. Today we go beyond the public test. Forget comparisons, forget challenges. This is how Alejandra Villarreal really sounds on bass, raw, unfiltered, and unaccompanied. We're listening to her technique, tone, and intuition.